I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd end up here, but life has a way of throwing you into situations you'd never expect. My name's Jake, and I've been married to Emily for about 3 years now. We met in college, had a pretty good run, and honestly, I thought we were solid. She was always a little bitchy, yeah, sharp-tongued and quick to snap, but I figured that was just her personality. Besides, she was beautiful, smart, and we had a kid on the way. I mean, we were planning a future together, or so I thought. Things started feeling off a few months ago. She'd be short with me out of nowhere, snapping about tiny things like I was some kind of idiot for not noticing her mood swings. At first, I blamed the pregnancy, thinking she was just stressed or hormonal. But then I started noticing little things, missed calls from her friends she'd deny, secretive texts she'd hide when I'd come into the room. She'd tell me everything was fine, that I was overthinking. Typical Emily, always quick to dismiss my concerns, call me paranoid. She was a master at manipulation, and honestly I was too blind, too trusting to see through her. Until last weekend, that is. That weekend was supposed to be our family trip to the cabin, just me, Emily, and our baby Bump. It was a tradition, a little getaway before the baby arrived. We packed up the car, leaving behind the city noise and stress. I was excited to spend some quality time with her, to get away from work and everything. But from the moment we arrived, I felt that strange tension in the air. Emily was unusually cold, snapping at me over small things like where to set up the tent or what food to bring. She kept dismissing my questions, acting dismissive and distant. That's when I first started feeling uneasy. Then, on the second night, I couldn't sleep. I got up to grab a glass of water, and as I passed her phone on the nightstand, something caught my eye. A notification. I hesitated, then I peeked at it. Foolish, I know, but I was desperate for some sign that I wasn't losing my mind. It was a message from someone named Chris. At first, I thought it was a friend, but the tone was different. Flirty, tease why. My stomach churned as I read through the text. They were talking about meeting up later, about how she looked hot enough to eat. That's when I saw the pictures. There were two of her, one of her in a bikini, the other of her leaning against a guy I didn't recognize. The caption, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Kiss Mark." My heart dropped. I stared at that message for what felt like an eternity. My mind was racing. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me, especially now when I'm carrying her child? It's one thing to have doubts, but to see it in black and white. That was a punch to the gut I wasn't prepared for. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sheer heartbreak. All those nights I stayed up worrying about her, all the times I thought she was stressed or just tired, she had been sneaking around with my best friend Tom. Tom, the guy I trusted more than anyone. I couldn't believe it. I looked at her sleeping there, so innocent, so unaware of what I just found. I felt a surge of rage and sadness. I did want to wake her, not then. I just sat there staring at her, trying to process what this all meant. How long had this been going on? Was I just stupid for not seeing it? Or was she just pretending to care, pretending to be a good wife? I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't know how. This was betrayal on a level I never thought possible. And the worst part, she was pregnant, carrying our child, and her lying, manipulative ass was out there cheating with my best friend. I don't remember how long I sat there that night. It felt like hours, though it was probably less. When dawn broke, I decided I couldn't hide from it anymore. I had to face her, had to hear her lie her way out of it. But deep down, I knew this was the end of something I thought was real. The trust, the love, I was about to lose it all. And I had no idea what was coming next. All I knew was I was hurt, furious, and I needed to figure out what to do. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a train. My mind was racing, replaying that message over and over again. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it, how I could have missed all the signs. But there it was, plain as day, staring right at me. Emily was lying next to me, breathing softly, her belly swollen with our baby, and I was just numb. I decided I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I needed to confront her. I grabbed her arm gently, waking her up. She looked at me with those icy blue eyes, a little startled, like she didn't expect me to be awake so early. I held her gaze and told her I knew everything. Her face didn't change much, just a flicker of annoyance, maybe even a little smirk. "What are you talking about?" she said, rolling over to avoid my eyes. I pulled out the phone and laid it on the bed between us. Don't lie to me, Emily. I saw the messages, the one from Chris. You know what I saw. Tell me what the hell's been going on. Her face twisted into that familiar bitchy sneer. Oh, please, Jake, you're overreacting. It's just some stupid flirtation. It doesn't mean anything. She sat up, crossing her arms. You're paranoid like always. Maybe I was just bored, or maybe I wanted to see if I still had it. That doesn't mean I'm cheating on you. Besides, you're just stressing out about the baby. Don't be so dramatic. I couldn't believe her. She was lying so easily, like it didn't matter. I felt a fire burning inside me, anger mixed with heartbreak. How could she dismiss it so callously? I told her I wasn't stupid, that I saw the pictures, the messages, the way she was sneaking around. Her excuse was that Chris was just an old friend, someone she used to work with, and that they'd met up once or twice to talk. Just talk. Yeah, right. She started crying then, fake tears, the kind she always used when she wanted to manipulate me. Jake, I love you. I'm pregnant with your kid. I'd never cheat on you. Maybe I made a mistake, but I swear it's nothing serious. It was just sex, that's all. It doesn't mean I don't love you. Her voice was trembling, but I knew better. I saw the flicker of guilt behind her eyes, the way she kept lying despite the evidence. I was furious, aching inside. I told her I didn't believe her, that she was just playing me, manipulating me like she always did. That I'd been blind for so long, trusting her even when she clearly didn't deserve it. I felt like I was losing my mind, like everything I believed in was a lie. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me, especially now, when we're about to bring a child into this world? I wanted to scream, cry, do something, anything to make her see how much she'd hurt me, but I just sat there staring at her, feeling helpless. I've always been the guy who kept his cool, who took care of everyone. But that morning I felt my world shattering. I kept asking myself if I ever really knew her, if I'd been played all along, just a pawn in her game. Was I so stupid to not see her true face? Or was she just that good at lying? The worst thing is, I didn't even know if I wanted to walk away or fight for what was left. Part of me wanted to scream at her, tell her to get out, to never come back. But another part just wanted to understand why she did this, why she lied, why she betrayed everything we had. As she sat there, all teary and fake, I felt the weight of it all crashing down. I realized I'd have to decide soon whether to forgive her or end things completely. But right then, I knew nothing would ever be the same. I'd been played, manipulated, used. And I was left standing there, broken, trying to piece together what was left of my life. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and anger. I couldn't shake the images from my mind. Her messages, the pictures, the way she lied so effortlessly. Every time I looked at her, I saw that sneer, that fake crying, and I felt like I was losing grip on reality. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so naive. The worst part was feeling so betrayed by someone I trusted completely, by my wife, who was pregnant with our child, and by my best friend, Tom, who I always thought of as a brother. I tried to act normal around her, go through the motions of our daily life. But it was impossible. Every little thing she did set me off, her dismissive attitude, her sarcasm, even the way she'd brush past me like I wasn't there. I couldn't look at her without feeling a surge of anger. She tell me she loved me, say she made a mistake, but I knew better. I knew she'd been lying to my face for months, maybe longer. One night I decided I couldn't keep hiding in the dark about this. I needed to know the full extent of her lies, and I needed to do it now. I found her phone again, sneaking into the bedroom when she was asleep. I spent hours scrolling through her messages, trying to piece everything together. That's when I saw it, more messages from Chris, and a lot more from Tom. Apparently, this had been going on for a while. They'd been meeting secretly, texting back and forth, planning how they'd hide it from me. The worst part was the tone of those messages. They talked about her being so horny around Tom, how she loved the way he touched her, how she wanted him to fuck her again. I found records of explicit conversations where she'd told him she was pregnant and miserable, but that didn't stop her from wanting to cheat. Unbelievable. The woman I thought I knew was just a manipulative, lying bitch. She planned this probably for a while. I felt this deep, gnawing pain in my chest. I was angry, yes, but also heartbroken. How could she do this at a time like this when she's about to become a mother? Was I just some idiot who thought I was enough for her? Or was she just using me as a ride until she got bored? I couldn't deny I was hurt, so hurt I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. The trust we built, the love I always believed in, it all seemed like a distant memory now. I was just a fool for thinking she was different, that she really loved me. That night, I sat on the couch, staring at her phone like it was a bomb ready to explode. I was planning my next move, trying to figure out what to do with all this information. Part of me wanted to confront her right then and there, to call her out in the middle of the night. But I knew that wouldn't be enough. I needed to be strategic. She was good at lying, good at convincing herself she was innocent, and I didn't want to fall into her trap. I had to think, had to prepare myself for what was coming. As I sat in the dark, I kept asking myself how I'd let it get to this point. I'd been loyal, faithful, the person everyone thought was dependable. And she was out there betraying me with my best friend, lying to my face, manipulating everyone around her. I was sick to my stomach. It felt like my whole world was crumbling, and I had no idea how to put it back together. The only thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. The truth was out, and now I had to decide what I was going to do about it. The next day, I knew I had to face her head on. I couldn't keep living in this haze of betrayal and confusion. I left work early, told her I was feeling sick, but really I just needed to get away and think. I found her in the kitchen, pretending to be busy with some stupid chore. She looked up as I entered, her eyes flickering with that familiar bitchy glint, like she knew she was about to spin some lie. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, but my voice came out sharper than I intended. "Emily, I know everything. The messages, the pics. Don't even try to lie your way out of it. I saw what you did with Tom. I saw how you've been playing me all along." Her face instantly twisted into a defensive sneer. "Oh, so now I'm a liar. Wow, Jake, you really know how to twist things, huh? I told you it was just sex, no big deal. It's not like I left you for him or anything." I felt a wave of rage wash over me. "That's bullshit, Emily. It's not just sex. You've been sneaking around, lying, manipulative as hell. Do you even care how much you've hurt me, or is this some game to you?" She crossed her arms, scoffing. "I'm pregnant, Jake. Do you really think I'd risk everything for some meaningless affair? You're just overreacting as usual. Maybe I just needed some excitement. You're so boring lately, I was desperate for some fun." That was the final straw. I'd had enough of her bullshit. I told her that her fun had consequences, that I deserved honesty, respect, and loyalty, that I didn't sign up to be played for a fool. Her fake tears, her trying to guilt trip me, none of it worked. I was done. I told her I wanted her out of the house, that I was done being her pawn. Her reaction was classic. She started crying again, this time louder, acting like I was the bad guy. "You're so unfair, Jake. I love you, I love our baby. You're just overreacting because you're insecure or jealous. I swear I'll stop everything if that's what it takes." I looked her straight in the eyes. "Stop lying. Stop pretending you care. I don't believe a word you say anymore. You've been manipulating me from the start, and I'm not going to let you do it anymore. If you want to keep this baby, fine, but I want nothing to do with you after this. You've shown me who you really are, and I can't trust you again." She kept crying, pleading, trying to guilt me into staying. But at that moment I felt nothing but cold emptiness. I knew I had to make a choice. I'd been played, used, and betrayed by the woman I loved and the best friend I trusted. I couldn't stay in this toxic mess. I told her I would be filing for divorce, that I wanted her out of my life, and that I would be taking full custody of the kid. I didn't want her anywhere near me or my child, especially not after this. She stormed out of the kitchen, slamming a door behind her. I stood there, feeling numb, overwhelmed with a mixture of relief and heartbreak. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending things would go back to the way they were. The damage was done, and I had to pick up the pieces of a life I thought I knew. That day I realized how fragile trust really is, and how easy it is to lose everything in a heartbeat. After she left the house that day, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. Everything was different now. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, had been nothing but a beautiful lie. I spent hours just sitting in the living room, staring at nothing, trying to process what had happened. The house was suddenly silent, empty of her voice, her lies, her manipulations. It was almost worse than her being here, honestly. At least then I had some form of closure, even if it was painful. I decided I needed to do what I'd been avoiding, get some real answers. I called Tom, my so-called best friend. I didn't even bother with pleasantries. I just told him I knew everything and I wanted to meet. His voice was hesitant, maybe guilty, but he agreed to come over that night. I didn't want to be alone with him, not after everything, but I also knew I couldn't keep running from this. When Tom arrived, sitting across from me in the same living room where I'd once trusted him like a brother, I didn't hold back. I laid out all the evidence, the messages, the pictures, the screenshots I'd taken. I watched his face crumble as I explained how I found out. His excuse was weak, pathetic even. He said he didn't mean for it to go this far, that he still cared about me, but that Emily made him feel alive. Yeah, I'd heard enough. That was the moment I told him I never wanted to see him again, that I'd cut him out of my life for good. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I might break. How could my best friend do this? How could Emily manipulate me like that, knowing I was about to become a father? I'd always trusted them both, believed in their loyalty. Now I saw that was naive. They'd been plotting behind my back, laughing at my innocence. That realization made me sick. I'd poured my heart into that relationship, into that friendship, only to get played like a fool. That night was one of the darkest of my life, but it also marked a turning point. I knew I had to pick myself up, start thinking about my own future, my son's future. I couldn't let her or Tom ruin everything I'd worked for. I started planning my next steps, talking to a lawyer, figuring out custody, making arrangements to move out of the house. I knew I wasn't going to let anyone else control my life anymore. The hardest part was accepting that my marriage was over, that I'd lost not just my wife but also my best friend. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering if I'd missed signs, if I could have done something differently. But deep down, I knew that sometimes people reveal who they really are when it's too late. And the only thing I could do now was try to focus on healing, on protecting my child, and on learning from this nightmare. I'll admit, I still feel the sting of betrayal every day, but I also feel a strange sense of relief. Finally, I can start rebuilding the parts of my life that I lost when I trusted the wrong people. Want me to keep going with the story? In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into rebuilding what I could. Divorce papers were filed. I moved out of the house once I secured a place for me and the baby. The process was brutal. So many sleepless nights and endless paperwork, but deep down, I knew I had no choice. Trust, once shattered like that, is nearly impossible to repair, especially when it's so intertwined with betrayal and lies. I started seeing a counselor, not because I wanted to forgive her or anything, but because I needed to understand how I ended up here, how I let someone like Emily manipulate me so thoroughly. The hardest part was getting used to the silence. No more her snide comments, no more fake tears, no more the feeling of being played. I realized I'd spent so much time trying to keep everything together, to be the good guy, that I lost sight of myself. Now, I was just a guy trying to pick up the pieces of his broken heart and move on. I kept telling myself that I deserved better, that I'd learn from this mess. One day, I looked at my son and felt a surge of love I hadn't expected. Whatever Emily had done, whatever she was, that little boy was my reason for pushing forward. I knew I'd be a better father now, more cautious, more aware of what real trust looks like. I didn't want him growing up thinking betrayal was normal, because it's not. I swore I'd do everything in my power to protect him from the same heartbreak I'd gone through. Looking back, I've learned a lot. About trust, about loyalty, and about the importance of listening to your instincts. I was blind for a long time, but I won't be again. I refuse to let betrayal define me. Instead, I'll use it as a lesson, one that taught me to value honesty, to recognize the red flags early, and to never let anyone manipulate me like that again. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I'll say this: trust is fragile. Once broken, it's almost impossible to repair fully. But you can survive. You can pick yourself up, learn to recognize the truth, and move on stronger than before. Life isn't about avoiding pain, but about growing from it. I may have lost a lot, but I gained clarity. And in the end, that's worth more than any fake love or betrayal.